Seeking advice is one of the most human things we can do. It's a recognition that, despite our knowledge or experience, there are moments when we need another perspective to guide us. Whether we're grappling with personal dilemmas, professional challenges, or even everyday decisions, reaching out to someone else can provide clarity that we might not be able to find on our own. What makes asking for advice so valuable is that it often opens our eyes to ideas or solutions we hadn't considered. When we're too close to a situation, it's easy to get stuck in our own patterns of thinking. We become so focused on a problem that we lose sight of alternative approaches. Someone on the outside, however, can look at the issue with fresh eyes, bringing new insights and objectivity to the table. They're not emotionally attached to the outcome, so they can see angles we might overlook. There's also something deeply reassuring about knowing that we don't have to navigate life's challenges alone. We all experience moments of uncertainty or doubt, and it can be incredibly comforting to hear from someone who has faced similar situations and come out the other side. Advice is often more than just practical tips or solutions. It's a reminder that others have been where we are and that there's a way through, even if it's not immediately obvious. One of the key elements of seeking advice is trust. When we ask someone for their thoughts, we are essentially placing a part of our decision-making process in their hands. It's a vulnerable act, as we're admitting that we don't have all the answers and that we value their input enough to factor it into our thinking. That's why we often turn to people we respect or admire, those whose judgment we trust and who have our best interests at heart. Of course, not all advice is equally helpful. One of the challenges of seeking advice is knowing how to filter it. Everyone has opinions, and not all of them are applicable to our unique situations. It's important to remember that while advice can be incredibly useful, we ultimately have to make our own decisions. Advice should guide us, not dictate our actions. We have to weigh the input we receive, consider how it aligns with our values and goals, and then make a choice that feels right for us. In some cases, the mere act of seeking advice can be enough to clarify our own thoughts. Sometimes, when we explain our situation to someone else, we hear ourselves speaking and, in doing so, begin to untangle the knot of confusion. The process of asking for advice forces us to articulate our concerns and, in the process, we might discover that we already know the answer, we just need to voice it. Interestingly, giving advice can be just as enlightening as receiving it. When someone asks us for guidance, we often find ourselves reflecting on our own experiences and drawing connections we hadn't considered before. In giving advice, we are reminded of the lessons we've learned and the growth we've experienced. It's a reciprocal process, where both the giver and the receiver of advice can benefit. In the end, seeking advice is about more than just problem solving. It's a way to build relationships, to show others that we trust and value their input. It's also a way to remind ourselves that we're part of a larger community, one where people are willing to share their knowledge, experiences, and wisdom to help each other navigate life's complexities. Seeking advice isn't a sign of weakness, it's a strength. It's an acknowledgement that growth often happens not in isolation, but in connection with others.